Hey guys, I'm back, and I've just watched the HBO miniseries Chernobyl, and I wanted to talk about it. Um, Chernobyl is an interesting miniseries. It's a 5 episode miniseries done by HBO. I think it was released right after Game of Thrones ended, so a lot of people kind of, they, they canceled their HBO subscription, and then there's this new show that arises that's awesome. Um, and I'm going to tell you why it's awesome. Uh, so basically, Chernobyl is about the title itself. It's about the incidents that happened at Chernobyl in 1986, when a nuclear reactor uh, had an accident. And unlike other disaster movies, or actually disaster type media, it cuts right to the action. I'm not saying that this miniseries doesn't have emotional human moments, because it's full of those. Um, it's a 5 episode arc, and it starts with the disaster itself happening, and basically the 3 episodes in between is smart people trying to figure out a way to solve an unsolvable problem, or a problem they've never encountered before, using science and engineering and ingenuity. And that's satisfying, and that's interesting to watch, especially when the show does a great job of explaining how the science works. Um, they do a really great job, and they have a character set up to be the audience, where this character doesn't know anything about science, and basically a scientist has to explain what's actually going on inside this rubble, or what's actually going on, what we have to do in order to fix this certain problem. And this solution might have some other problems, and we have to solve those problems. And this is really satisfying and interesting to watch. And that's one of the main things I loved about Chernobyl. The scale of the disaster is, the tension is immense. And I've never been more tense about a situation that's on screen before. The scale of the disaster is very well developed and shot on screen. There are sequences in between these moments of disaster which are pure art. There's this one 90-second, I'm assuming it's 90 seconds because of context, um, long take where some people have to do something, and the camera follows them around, and the panic is just, you can see it in the characters, in the people's movements, and how they're talking and how they're moving around and doing what they're supposed to do, and it's really great to watch. I've never been so tense in my life while watching this. And there's a lot of adult content here. There's a lot of gruesome images about what radiation can do to the human body. And oh man, this show does not pull any punches. Uh, the way they interweave short, small little character moments in between the grand scheme of the disaster is genius. It shows how many areas this level of disaster can affect different types of people in different ways. And that was just great to see on screen, where these characters have these emotions that they've never felt before, that they've never encountered before, and how they cope with it, and how they overcome it sometimes. That was great to see on screen, and I loved a lot, probably I would say every second of this miniseries, how it starts from how it ends. Now, some people might feel it's a little bit disoriented because while we do have a main cast of characters, most of the time each episode kind of focuses on different side characters, and that can be a little bit jarring. And some side characters do come back later on in near the end of the miniseries in about episode 4 and 5, but they don't get any much screen time, and their ending is not as explained, or somehow, or there's it's explained poorly or lazily. Um, Other than that, I don't think I think some people might have a problem with that because some people who like to follow a central character throughout the story might struggle with the first episode. But I thought the first episode was great, and I think you should go watch Chernobyl.